So hello and welcome to the C-Suite Hotseat. My name is Natalie Bannerman and I am Deputy Editor at Capacity Media. This is the monthly podcast from the Capacity editorial team featuring exclusive interviews with C-Suite executives from across the wider telecoms, tech and ICT landscape. Join us as we talk all things technology, infrastructure, finance and strategy. Now today I am joined by Matteo Gatta, CEO of BICS. Matteo, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to have a chat with the Capacity team.
Absolutely, and we love having you. Now, we have got quite a bit to talk about today, but we're going to start with BICS's participation in the first ever ITW Africa event, and specifically, Matteo, your participation on the keynote panel on bridging the digital divide in Africa. Now, this is a topic that I think is talked about a lot, not unlike many other topics in our industry, but doesn't often feel like we're getting any closer to answering. So talk to me about the role of emerging technologies and its connection to Africa's communities.
Yeah, so first of all, ITW Africa, I think is a great initiative. And I do wish that it's a success, not only because we're investing, but also because I think Africa deserves attention. And, if actually looking at the positive experience of ITW Washington this year, which was really a great event, extremely well attended, I hope and I'm pretty sure that our African colleague and operators, but also ecosystem partners will be there to really talk about how we can develop the digital part of Africa, which is a continent with a great potential. So when it comes to digital divide, actually fits perfectly in my view mission of ITW, promoting new technology for inclusion. Digital is always often linked to growth, and why that? Because I think we're seeing very much that the entry barrier to new technology, to new experience, is actually lowering, and there is convergence. If we look at what's going to happen in the mobile space with the introduction of eSIM, but also if we look at even the deployment of new networks in the access side, where there are new vendors coming in, lowering the entry barrier to investment. So I think it's a great opportunity to leverage on the growth of the continent, on the increasing level of literacy on digital skills in the continent, and to drive that into better economies and wealth, and enhance the level of wealth in the continent as well. So there are also many technology today that are next to the connectivity side, also when it comes to developing use cases for digital communication. There again, we see digital skills, and thanks to low code and no code, so basically lowering the entry barrier to develop digital processes and to enhance the effectiveness of businesses, and hence also to improve the life of citizen users that sees in technology also the opportunity to develop business. Africa we see more and more individual entrepreneurs, so people that manage to basically build activities leveraging completely mobile technology through payments embedded in mobile wallet. They develop customer relationship, customer engagement, and they can pursue their activity. So with lowering the entry barrier to digital technology, we see also growth in the society. So I think telco plays an important role into that.
Absolutely. And in keeping with what you were saying there, Matteo, is that proliferation of that mobile technology across the continent, is that a big part of why Africa is so central to BICS's kind of strategy in terms of, its growth?
Yeah, sure. If we look at the number of digital natives, Africa, in terms of percentage of population, is the highest percentage of digital natives, because the population is a young population, and they have come and they are getting used to smartphones. They are getting used to new way of interacting, and that is all about mobile, right? Mobile is the reference infrastructure. It's a platform to develop businesses, and this this happens from the single individual company to the medium, to the new companies and the new entrepreneurs, which are so critical to develop wealth in emerging economic countries. So yes, proliferation of mobile devices, proliferation of use cases that are built on mobile technologies, and we know, I mean, the strength of mobile is a personal and a professional tool, but it's a tool that enhances quality of life. If we think about, security, personal security as well, if we think about reachability, right? I mean, if we think about the feeling of being connected, so the feeling of being safe. So that all comes together into an experience that really uplifts the quality of life. It will take time, but it's really crucial. I mean, I don't really see an economic development in Africa without mobile technologies.
Yeah, no, I completely echo those sentiments. I think you only need to look at the way the technology is developing to know that. So absolutely. So my last question then for you on this particular topic before we move on is, in your opinion, how do we kind of move the conversation around bridging the digital divide in whatever developing economy we're talking about? How do we move that forward and stop it from, being just a kind of another talking point? How do we actually get people to kind of move their feet, so to speak?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, the answer there is by putting together all the players of the ecosystem. If you look at what's happened today, I mean, in the biggest platforms such as Microsoft, Amazon's, but the Alibabas, these are platforms to develop business outcomes, and meaning applications, meaning use cases to create business opportunities, right? So the Africa can be really cloud native, and of course, from a telco perspective, telecom is the access to the cloud, right? So mobile technology is the premium access to the cloud in the continent. So of course, in order to have scalable, to have hyperscaler presence with all their capability in terms of developing business opportunities, you got to have infrastructure, but there are players investing into infrastructure, so it's really super critical for that. And mobile communication comes into play because mobile connectivity, as I said before, is super crucial. So to move really the needle, we need a coalition of the willing that really helps African citizens and younger generation to learn digital skills, to develop use cases into the cloud, and to drive digital economic growth. There is also another element. I mean, of course, as I said, Africa is probably the continent with the highest percentage of digital native. For me, it's also an extremely important reserves of digital skills, which are in need, so it can become an area where development of applications can be sourced from. So areas or in near shore or in offshore for digital development that can serve the entire other continents, other geographies in a way. Okay, the abundance of digital skills, and I think it's up to, of course, to the policymaker over there, but also up to the largest players in the industry to really foster education of digital skills, foster the understanding of innovations, the understanding of how to build new businesses. That's really concrete steps to move the needle.
Absolutely. I'm in complete agreement with that. I mean, you did, in your answer there, you did mention the word ecosystem, which I think it kind of ties nicely into my next kind of batch of questions, which is some of the partnerships that we've been covering over at Capacity that BICS have kind of been hard at work at. And one of them was with MTN Global Connect, now known as Baobab. And you both kind of renewed this partnership on international mobility and connectivity once again in Africa. This was back in March of 2023. Now, together, we know that you guys aim to, accelerate the growth of mobile and digital services, etc. But talk to me about that expanded partnership earlier this year. A renewed agreement is often a sign of great collaboration and/or expanded goals, or often a sign that there's more work to be done. So, kind of, what synergies were there that you guys have decided to expand your collaboration?
Well, I think it's known to the industry that MTN used to be a shareholder of BICS, of course, and that transaction at the time they entered as a shareholder at the beginning of the previous decade. So the collaboration with MTN as a group is now probably more than 15 years old, clearly. So it's around 15 years old. So what we did, okay, MTN exited as a shareholder, but remain an important partner of BICS. And with the agreement, we bring this partnership to the next level. Why? Because of course, I think we are both very much, interested in growing the opportunity in Africa and putting our asset at play. MTN is investing in infrastructure through the Biobab, which is, the formerly known as MTN Global Connect. BICS brings the capabilities. In terms of 20 plus year experience in roaming, interconnect, and value-added service that can, build connectivity across multiple platforms, across multiple networks. So the collaboration is a collaboration of leveraging each other reach, but also looking at the opportunity from the angle of what can we do to make this happen in concrete manner. So we know that, this is our business in an emerging economy is like in Africa, but the two together can make the difference more certainly that each one of us can do. And if we are able together to make things happen in terms of services, in terms of connectivities, in terms of opportunities, both in the digital communication as well as in IoT, as well as, fighting frauds and bypasses, which are a little bit still part of some of the industry dynamics over there. So if we can work together into that in a very positive manner, right? I'm seeking the opportunities in a win-win framework thanks to a positive mindset. We can bring value. We can bring value to our customers. We bring value to the end users of our customers. So the collaboration was signed again as a partnership earlier this year, and we expect that to continue to grow. And every now and then we also look at the opportunity. So what can we do together indeed to announce the scope? So the teams are in constant relationship and looking at short, medium, and medium long-term opportunities in the area, of course, of digital communication, the area of connectivity, in the area of platform development, because we believe that, at some point, once again, so being able to deliver something across the reciprocal footprint faster, focusing on quality, enhancing the visibility on the customer experience from an end-to-end perspective, there's a tremendous value for the end users.
Absolutely, yeah. Certainly sounds like a win-win, and certainly sounds like a evolution of a long-standing partnership. So it makes sense. But one other one that I wanted to speak to you about was the partnership with Microsoft on roaming for private networks. Now, I found that quite interesting because, as we know, particularly in the enterprise space, hybrid kind of public cloud networking is favorable. Certain workloads or use cases are better suited for one over the other. So, having SIMs and eSIM capability to kind of manage those hybrid environments and kind of lay the foundation for, more expansive and open IoT seems to be really where BICS really shines, in my humble opinion. So talk to me about that partnership, but in the context of the wider picture that I feel that BICS is trying to lay the foundation for.
That kind of question, so basically, it's a very interesting one, and talking about it excites me very much. So essentially, BICS has 20 plus experience in roaming, and objects are essentially that kind of experience we are leveraging today to develop proposition both in our SIM for Things as well as in the private network, and the two areas are likely to converge along with 5G and cloud going forward. Now, we know that Microsoft as well as other hyperscalers, they are very keen to develop to develop technology, the the traditional telecom stack within their cloud engine, right? If we look at the Azure communication services, if we look at the Amazons, as well as the other hyperscalers. So rebuilding the telecom stack within their cloud, it's opens several opportunities to them. Right now, the opportunity number one is basically to add the MPN, in this case, value proposition from a software perspective towards their enterprise customers, towards the user of the Azure, in this case of Microsoft. So being able to design basically and deploy from a software perspective the logic of a private network, it's to a great advantage to them. It's done with the minimal effort in a way, and so it's again through technologies that are low code and no code, so basically very easy for the user, for the administrator to maintain private network. So that the softwareization of private network is really critical. That's what they do. They intend to do that to spur more and more use cases around private network. What BICS does, we embed our connectivity element into that, meaning that whether it is eSIM or whether it is traditional SIM still, so we embed that capability so that when one of their customers intend to deploy the private network and needs, of course, objects, needs to connect objects to a private network, they can have that capability embedded within the Azure communications services as a matter of an API, basically. So to be part of the same deployment capabilities. And so that the ability to essentially manage, configure, deploy endpoints of a private network inside the hyperscaler platform, in this case Azure Communication Services, is the advantage. BICS also takes care, of course, of the mobility stack, so managing the interactions between a private network, which is normally what we say an island, right? But every business is not an island. The businesses are hyper connected these days. So, if a private network has assets that are connected to the private area, but those assets, often a part of those, need to go in a public network domain. So we take care of that. So the transition from private to public and vice versa, it's the roaming out. So being from a technology perspective, to roam into a national network or into a public network, back into a private network, that's the capability that BICS has. So it's essentially a private network from a BICS perspective, bundle our SIM for things, so in connecting objects with also the ability that we have to steer object from private to public and to manage, the connectivity of object within private network. So I think you see, the telecom stacks is actually built within a large scale platform such as ACS, and so there are more opportunities to build those networks. And BICS helps taking care of the connectivities and the mobilities inside those new island private network.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no wonder that you're a favorite among the enterprises, because to be honest with you, that hybrid approach is just kind of it's par for the course these days. So certainly makes sense. Okay, perfect. Well, look, I'm not going to keep you to take too much of your time here, but I did want to ask a few of our quick fire questions, or our hot seat questions, as we call them over at Capacity. So the first question that we always like to ask all of our guests, Matteo, is give us 3 words to describe the current state of the industry. And of course, this is all just your opinion, but give us 3 words, if you will.
3 words, exactly words, maybe 3 short sentences, if I may.
Sure, I'll take those.
So the first thing is that, it is 2023 is definitely a transition year, I think. So we're moving from a period in a way where the ideas still need to become concrete in terms of projects, and the industry is going to again another level of transformation, specifically in our career part, where we see also the transition to water roaming. So 2023 is a transition year, so that's a short sentence. I do think that the opportunity in digital communication is very strong, right? And continue to really can continue to drive value. And then the third message is, the inflationary aspect that has been characterizing the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023, in a way, still brings a bit of an uncertainty going forward. Because it's not yet under control, but so that element feed into the uncertainty, which makes 23 a bit more a transition year and slightly harder to read than the previous year.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, my second hot seat question for you then. What is your favorite and least favorite part of the job? Now, I'm not sure if you can answer that without getting in trouble, but do you have a favorite or least favorite aspect of what you do?
Well, I mean, so if I may, there are not really unfavorable part of the job, or part of the job that I don't like. I mean, I think the job comes, every day you have ups and downs. You need to continue to be coherent and consistent with your vision. Look at the company or the organization, how it moves, right? I mean, it's normal that if you look at every day, if you look at it every day, you'll see the ups and downs. But I think the positive aspect is to see the company evolving and transitioning towards a better future over a period of time. So do not look at the day by day, look at the trend, spot the trend, make sure that the company sees a consistent vision and execute on that. So you see, that's the like, not like, right? And the part that I like the most, however, I can say is definitely making our customer success, so contribute to our customer success and growing people and talent within the organization. Those are the two things I like the most.
Absolutely. I think even as a bystander, watching people grow is very rewarding. So with you there. Okay, yeah. Last one then. What is one thing that inspires you? Now you can take that macro, micro, industry, however you want to look at it. But what's one thing that inspires you, Matteo?
If I may, there is not only one thing that inspires me.
Can you pick one?
There are many. As a leader, we need to find some inspirations ourselves, right? Because it's important for that. So what I like is to spot different type of leaderships and to learn from them. And I do that every day. So I try to see the mirror. I try to mirror myself in successful leader and try to learn and trying to take it and to digest that and to apply in my daily job. So that's what inspired me. And so it's really super critical for that, because there's the never stop learning.
Absolutely. I love that never stop learning approach. I think we can all adopt that. So thank you so much. Okay. Well, that was my last question, Matteo. I can't thank you enough for joining us. It's been really, really great chatting to you. Hopefully we'll get a chance to chat with you again. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Speak to you soon.
Thank you, Natalie.